What is going on, Beamer fans? Welcome back to Beamer View. For today's video, we're going to be going over the brand new iDrive 8, but not in terms of the features themselves. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on what I think about the BMW's new design language that they're doing with the interior of the vehicle, with this curved screen that we have here, and iDrive 8, iDrive 8.5, and for the vehicles that have iDrive 9. Stay tuned for the whole thing. I'm going to be showing you guys some cool things about the vehicle, but mainly giving my thoughts on what I think about BMW's new interior language that we got going on. If this is your first time on this YouTube channel, Beamer View, what we do here is teach you everything there is to know about BMWs. So if you are someone who wants to learn, do yourself a favor, subscribe to this channel because we put out content every single week. Also, if you had a BMW key fob, the one that looks like this, we do have a really cool parts store that does feature some really cool key fob covers. Check out the reviews that we have here. People are loving these key fob covers. We've sold over 200 plus just within the last couple months, so definitely check that out at the end of the video. The link for this is going to be right down below. You will also see a merch shelf that does feature all this as well. So let me give you my initial thoughts. Now, I've used iDrive 7 plenty of times. I have used iDrive 8 plenty of time, so I am pretty well versed on every little thing that is in the system, how it looks and what it does and all that stuff. Hence why that's probably why you're watching this video anyway. But iDrive 8, whenever I first saw iDrive 8, I still remember the biggest things that I noticed about the screen. Of course, with anything that is completely brand new that seems to have a bunch of different buttons and pictures and all that, you tend to get really blown away and you start to feel that the vehicle is going to be a spaceship. And of course, that is quite natural to feel because, again, this is going to be something that's completely new whenever you're seeing it for the first time. Also, big thing to mention, you're going to probably wonder why my layout looks a little bit different compared to yours. I do have a M series vehicle, so my layout is going to be different compared to a standard BMW. I do get this question all the time, so I just wanted to go ahead and point that out. Even though the layout is different, the main functions are still the same. We have our speedometer here, we have our climate control here along with the side buttons. Your main buttons may be way down here, but yes, it all still works the same. So let's just go ahead and break it down. One of the biggest things about this is how complicated it might seem. Now, I will say that the instrument cluster with iDrive 8 vehicles and iDrive 7 does kind of look about the same. There are a couple of different things that may be a little bit different, but this part of the screen is going to be pretty drastically different compared to iDrive 7. So with this screen, vehicles that have iDrive 7, the last generation OS system, still had the icons on the left side. If you have one of the newer BMWs, again, your main menus are going to be right down here. These icons are going to be right down there. The biggest thing I think that people are going to dislike about iDrive 8 is mainly going to be in terms of climate control. Now, climate control can be a nightmare if you are somebody who likes to take manual control of how your climate control functions. If you don't already know, there's two different ways you could go about using your climate control. You're gonna have a bunch of clientele who are gonna just keep it in auto and just adjust the temperature accordingly through here, and maybe the fan speed could be on very low or in the middle here. That is going to be for the people who like to drive who like to keep their climate control in auto. That is going to be easier for iDrive 8. If you are somebody who has iDrive 8 and you like to take manual control of your climate control, this part might get a little bit confusing and quite annoying, especially whenever you're driving. Go into manual mode in your climate control, which would be by turning off auto. You're gonna see on your car too, again, the layout may look a little bit different, but you're gonna see how you can manually control your air conditioning by adjusting the fan speed here. It might be different from yours, or you can control the directionals through here, put it on top way up there. You're also going to be having to play with the AC button that's located here and control the temperature here. Now, iDrive 8 with doing manual control for the climate control can be a nightmare, because imagine you're trying to drive and then you wanted to control your fan speed or turn down the temperature. You're gonna have to be driving with one hand and then reaching up all the way over to go through all this stuff to basically get the setting that you like, which is gonna be, again, as mentioned for the third time, very, very annoying. What I would recommend and what I do for my car to avoid the hassle of doing all that is what I would do, just make sure you try to get into the habit of keeping it in auto, keep your fan speed wherever you like it, and then all you have to do is just control the temperature here. So then that way you don't have to go into the screen. You can just be in whichever screen, and then your temperature controls are going to be right over here. If you leave it in auto and then just do it this way, the vehicle will just take care of the temperature for you. It'll work just like your house and just maintain whatever degree you have here. Because then that way You don't have to worry about physical buttons. The only thing you'd have to be adjusting here and there is just going to be the plus and minus here. And that is going to save you a ton of time and be less of a distraction. And then you're gonna like iDrive 8, 8.5, or even 9 a whole lot better if you do it that way. One of the biggest mistakes that people do with climate control is that whenever they get into the vehicle, they're gonna see that their temperature is still set to 72 degrees. But if their vehicle is cold, then there is going to be no hot air, no anything blowing through the climate control, because the vehicle is trying to heat itself up first before it begins to blow the hot air. Because if you're trying to blow hot air while the engine is cold, you're not going to get hot air. You are just going to get cool air, and that's not going to do you any good because you're blowing cool air now while the vehicle is still trying to heat itself up, and that is just not going to be the efficient way to do it. So yes, if you can get into the habit of just leaving your climate control in auto, I will say that your need for physical buttons too would go down a whole lot more, because now the only two buttons you'd have to just switch out for is just this guy and this guy. Or if you did want to control your heated seat and heated steering wheel, you'd be doing that in here. But even for heated seat and heated steering wheel too, a huge thing I would mention you guys check out is inside climate control menu. If you go into individual settings, you're gonna see for the driver's side or even the passenger side that you could have your heated seat, heated steering wheel, or even your cooling seats to pop on all by itself whenever you're getting into the vehicle. BMW used to have climate control rules for iDrive 7, but this is going to be the next generation for that same feature. I have everything turned up to the max because I do love my heated seat and heated steering wheel to be fully on as much as possible whenever I'm getting into my car. So even little things like that, you will save yourself the trouble to go into this guy every single day and go ahead and turn those guys on. And then again, the only thing you'd have to worry about is just the plus and minus here, or plus and minus here. That will save you a ton of trouble while you're driving, trying to bump up your temperature all the way down or up. If you have a vehicle, especially here in the north, here in the US, where remote engine start is legal, doing remote engine start before you get into the vehicle is the biggest thing to do. I'm not gonna lie, I do feel really bad for people who don't have remote engine start, but I do remote engine start or precondition my vehicle before I get into it through my BMW app by doing it from my house every single time, and that helps me a ton whenever I am getting into the car, and then the vehicle is going to be at a reasonable temperature whenever I get into it. So that is a huge thing I would do first if you can get into the habit of doing that. Again, I do know many people do love to have that manual control, but if you could just get into the habit of just leaving it in the auto, the only two buttons you have to worry about are just these two guys here. Not only that, you could just use your BMW voice command to just control the temperature as well. So even to make your life easier, as you're driving, just click on your BMW voice command, which is just going to be a quick single tap. You'll see BMW voice command pop up either here or on your heads-up display, and then you can just tell your BMW voice command to set your temperature to say, for example, 75 degrees. That is going to be another way where you don't have to go ahead and fiddle through the screen, and then you just do it completely by voice. So if you can do that, that is going to be one big stepping stone for you to enjoy BMW iDrive 8, 8.5, and 9 a whole lot more. That would be one of the first things that I would do. And then yes, we do have our two defrosters here, which does make sense because these are going to be really important buttons to have access to in case you were in an emergency where you had to quickly defog your glass, one in the front or in the back. So two defrosters are here, which is really, really convenient to have. But even those during the summertime, you're probably not going to use that a whole lot. So by simply just trying to get yourself acquainted to using auto mode and climate control, the strip of buttons that used to be here are going to be something of the past that you may not miss a whole lot. That is one huge step into liking the BMW iDrive 8 system. Let's go ahead and talk about the screen, the design of it, and what we think about the screen. Many people think it's a giant iPad. It is really, really Tesla-like. Some people miss the two divided screens that they used to have. Again, for this one too, it is going to be a feature that you're just going to have to kind of get used to. It did take a little bit of time. It feels really weird at first, but after a while it does make sense. Even though it looks like a curved screen that some people may not like, I will say that it does simplify the whole design, which is what BMW seems to be trying to do, which in my opinion does kind of make sense, because at the end of the day, the less things we have and the more simple that they become end up being a lot less of a headache, which is what we do want. So curved display, I would completely understand if a lot of people do not like it. It is really weird at first. I personally have had my vehicle for about 5 months now. I'm completely used to it. I have no issues with it whatsoever. I will admit that the screen does kind of seem a little far. I do have T-Rex arms, aka short arms. So for me, it is a little bit of a reach trying to get to the screen, but that is also a great reason to have the BMW iDrive controller. I know that the X1s and X2s do not have this, but their screens are a little bit closer to you, so it does help a little bit. Touching the screen, not too bad whenever you're parked. If you're trying to drive and touch the screen at the same time, it can get really tricky, really dangerous. In those situations, you want to either use voice command to do things like change the temperature, enter an address, use Siri or Google Assistant to get to wherever you want to go, or you want to use the controller here, which you may want to learn how to get used to, because this is really convenient to use whenever you are driving, because then you don't have to go reaching through your arm a whole lot. You can keep one hand on the wheel, keep one hand way down here, and then keep your eyes on the road and just make adjustments accordingly. But again, even then, check out one of the videos that we have. It is getting a ton of views about the correct way to use a BMW. For that video, we do go over a ton of different ways to use the voice command. Again, if you don't already know, 2 ways to use this guy. Click it once for BMW's voice command, or click and hold to get either Siri or Google Assistant. So yes, climate control is a big one. Another one that people are going to mention is going to be the settings. So you can see that there's all these different settings that are just all over the place. If there was one thing you're trying to look for, it would be a nightmare trying to look through each and every one of these to look for it. The best way to go about this is to use your browse menu, which is this brand new function right up here. If you go into this, you can literally just type in whatever you want to see, whatever you want to adjust. So say for example, if I wanted to adjust the height on my heads-up display, all that I would have to do is just type in displays, or even if I just type in DIS, you're going to see displays pop up way over here on the right. And then I could just quickly get into the menu that way. I personally think that having this search bar makes up for all this craziness that is happening way here. Because if you're trying to look for a specific setting, you have to read through all these and then try to search for whatever you're trying to get to. So the easiest thing to do is just click up here, just type in whatever you want, even remote engine start, just type in REMO. You can see remote engine start is right over there. Just click on that, and then now you're in the screen where you can turn on your remote engine start if you have. So yes, using that search box will help you a whole lot. Let me just bring that up again. That was inside this little 4 square here. You can see that little search box there. That is going to be the best way to navigate to whichever setting you want to get to as well. Depending on which BMW you have, your screen here is going to look a little bit different. You may most likely have a box with widgets here, which you can swipe through up and down. For some widgets, you can go left and right. And if you go all the way down, you may have the option to add a widget as well. So for that, you're going to see a screen that looks like this, and then this whole side you may have a map. If you do have that layout where you have the widget here and then a map here, what you could do is swipe from the right of the screen going this way, and you'll see another tab pop up here where you can choose a different widget that you want populated here. So you're going to see a white line here. Just drag that out. My screen is different, but your screen might have the tiny little white line. See here, one that looks like this right there, but it's going to be on this side. If you have that, just swipe to the left, and then you can change the widget that is on this side. So you'll have a widget here on the right, you'll have a widget here on the left. Those are the 2 different ways you can change those 2 sections. Another feature or lack of buttons that people are furious about is the fact that there's no presets. The numerical buttons that were the 1 through 8, where you could program them to be either anything like a phone number, a GPS address, a favorite radio station. Many are furious about the fact that there is no numerical buttons going through 1 through 8 no longer here. What they did was they still have the same function. It's just located way up here in this little white line here. If you have iDrive 8, more likely than not, you're gonna have this guy here. You can see that I went ahead and populated my shortcuts into those 8 different sections. You could do this for your car too. All you would have to do is, if you want to set up a shortcut, you just find the favorite thing you want to set up, just click and hold it, and then you're gonna see the option to add it as a shortcut. If you do that, you can drag this down here again, and then you're going to see your 1 through 8 shortcuts here. The same buttons that were the 1 through 8 there are simply just going to be located here. So here you can set up your favorite settings, your favorite radio stations. If you have regular Bluetooth connected, you can have a phone number here. If you use your BMW GPS, you could have a BMW GPS address that is programmed here too. You can see what I have for mine. If you want to use the same use the same functions for yours, feel free to use these as well. I also have one for my heads-up display on and off switch. I programmed that to be here as well. You can do it for yours as well. But yes, those physical buttons, the 1 through 8, are simply just going to be up here now. Only downside with that is that you would have to reach over to access that. The way you can work around that is if you were to be on your BMW iDrive controller here, just tap up from the bottom. You're gonna see that shortcuts menu pop down, and then now you just turn this guy, and then you just get to whichever shortcut you want to get to. So that is one workaround with that. So yes, the big complaint, there's no lack of buttons, but yes, the 1 through 8 are simply just going to be up here. Just use your controller to get to that. Climate control, manual control is a nightmare, but if you can get into the habit of leaving it in auto, just control the temperature here. If you have remote start or preconditioning, go ahead and use that. What's really cool about the new BMWs is that they are using BMW's battery now to go ahead and do preconditioning, or quote unquote remote engine start. So preconditioning your vehicle before you get into it is a huge thing, because then you get into a nice comfortable car. It will be at that temperature, either at 72 or whatever you had left it at. And then climate control is going to be a thing of the past. And this will just make your car feel just like your home. Just set the temperature, set it, and forget it. Let's talk about this portion of the screen here. Again, my layout is going to look different compared to yours. I may have a different widget here and there as well. This part of the screen, very similar to BMW's iDrive 7 screen. The colors might look a little bit different. Before, this little widget that you see here was actually here on this right side. Now they made it right into the middle. Now, aside from the layout and then the color as well, there's not too much difference that we have going on here. What's cool is that if you were to click on this little button here, you may have one that looks like this, or may that looks like a gear icon. If you were to click on that there, you're going to see the option to change your content here. So here you can change up your content and then customize that to whatever you like. This will also save to your driver profile or BMW ID, and then you can customize this portion of the screen too. Before, they had it so that you'd have a map here and then you'd have a widget here, but I do like the fact that they simplified the design, just so we just have one big widget right into the middle, and that makes it easier to access, see, and it just gives the layout a nice symmetrical look. So yes, this is iDrive 8. Now for iDrive 7, if I had to guess some things that I missed for iDrive 7, it would be really hard to kind of think what I would miss about it, because I have gotten really used to iDrive 8, and I've gotten to the point where now that things are set up the way that I like it, it's honestly quite easy to use. When I'm using iDrive 8, the main things that I'm just worried about is my speed that I'm going. My widget here is just going to be a set it and forget it type of thing. Climate control, what I do is leave it in auto. All that I have to do is just control this guy here. It's all set. My heated seat, heated steering wheel, I took advantage of that auto turn on feature, which I showed toward the beginning about the video. I think you should do that too. And then if you had favorites, you can just drag this guy down, or again, use your controller here to just push up, and then you're going to see your numerical 1 through 8 buttons here. Aside from that, there's not really too much things that I missed from iDrive 7. I do think that this settings menu here is a little crazy, which iDrive 7 was a lot better laid out, but the fact that they introduced this little search icon here makes up for that. So I do appreciate that BMW did do that. Really nice. On your screen, you can customize your widget, set it and forget it. And then after that, to be honest, let me know if I missed a whole lot, but the climate control buttons were here. Our resolution was to just keep it in auto, set it and forget it. And then our numerical 1 through 8 buttons were there. That is going to be accessed through this guy right up there. So in my humble opinion, I honestly don't miss the physical buttons too much. And also a huge thing is going to be our voice command here. If you were to just click on this once, again, we have our voice command that just popped up there. Just tell your voice command whatever you want to do with the car. You can do some pretty crazy things. Like if I were to tell it to roll down the windows, it would do that. If I wanted to tell it to change the color within the car, I would just say change ambient lighting to green, and then it would do that too. I could tell voice command to change the temperature. I could tell the voice command even a phrase saying I'm cold, and then it will bump up the temperature to make it more comfortable. Voice command is huge to use with iDrive 8, and then the more you can get used to using your voice command, it would make your life a lot more easy. One of the cool things about the curved screen is because it is curved, you're going to notice that there's not a whole lot of glare that happens on the screen itself, which I do think it was a big reason why BMW did do the curve. It helps a ton with not seeing glares or having the screen look all cloudy and whatnot. So it helps in terms of that. A lot of people questioned about responsiveness. Whenever iDrive 8 did come out the first time, it was really laggy, but they have made some really good adjustments along the way by using software updates and whatnot. You can see that the screen is really responsive. If you have an iPhone, it feels a whole lot like that. It feels completely smooth to the touch. There's no weird glitches or anything like that. It feels pretty similar to an iPad. The whole screen looks like an iPad, which a lot of people say, but I do enjoy the design if I'm speaking just from my personal opinion. The buttons, really responsive. If I were to just go into whatever it is very responsive. There is no glitches, no delays or anything. So yes, everyone, I do personally like iDrive 8, 8.5, 9, whatever you want to call it. Curved screen. I do like the sleekness of it. If you are a traditional BMW driver, there's gonna be a good chance you're not gonna like this, but I will say the more you can just kind of use it, it will grow on you. And then once you have your system down and your widgets all set up the way that you like it, you're also gonna probably be more acquainted with the system as well. And then the curved display stuff may look a little weird at first, but if you just look at it from a straight angle, it does simplify the whole design of the vehicle. Nice and straight, sleek, very symmetrical. So I personally do like the iDrive 8 system. Let me know what you think. If you guys like iDrive 7, I want to know whether or not you like iDrive 7 better or not. How do you go about using your climate control? Are you somebody who uses the manual control or you use it in the automatic mode? Let me know your thoughts between the two different systems and even what you think of the design, the layout. Let me know what you guys think BMW could have done better and so on and so forth. That is going to be wrapping up this video. Again, this video was to just share my thoughts, some tips and tricks here and there about BMW's iDrive 8 and share my thoughts about the sleek design or the lack of the physical buttons. Let me know what you guys think. If I missed anything, feel free to call me out. Comment down below. I have responded back to all the comments, finally, 200 comments later. So if you do ask a comment, there is going to be a good chance that I do get back to you. So definitely go ahead and do that at the end of the video. Also, we are going to be starting up brand new channel memberships. So if you do want to be a Beamer View VIP, go ahead and press on the join button that's right down below of the video. You can become a VIP member where you get priority to me asking the questions that you ask on the channel itself. Not only that, you get early access to all the videos that I put out, including shorts and the long form ones. You will also be getting a shout out toward the beginning of the video from now on too. So definitely go ahead and check out that new membership program we are implementing into the channel. Just press on the little join button that's way down there to check out the details for that. And if that's something that interests you, go ahead and become a member. It is going to be a brand new membership, so you may be one of the first ones to go ahead and join the brand new VIP club. That is all for this video. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you all for the next one.